like clock. I can't stop. Fuck around, make my 40 pop.
The Kata actuation arc was announced for Boruto as being the next arc in the Boruto anime, which is an absolute bombshell of information. Of course, once we got to see the opening of Boruto, we understood that the Kata organization was going to be coming extremely soon. But after I seen the 5 episodes of spoilers that we did get after the Mujin and Bandits arc, I kind of thought I was completely wrong on that. But it looks like I was actually right, and you guys were actually right as well, mainly because a lot of you guys kind of guessed that this was going to happen. Now, the actual name of the arc is called the Kata actuation arc. Now, specifically to talk about the definition of actuation, that's pretty much like the beginning. Like, a lot of people kind of think that this could possibly be like a code word for the Ao arc. Now, of course, I do want to point this out. Naming an arc the Ao arc for the first time that we actually hear the arc, that would be a lot of spoilers. But in my opinion, this right here is not that. Now, don't get me wrong, once we do creep up on the Ao arc, I do not expect that arc to be named the Ao arc, so I understand the idea and I understand that theory. But because this is called the Kata actuation arc, and of course they're trying to give us a lot of backstory about how the Kata organization actually came together and not just start directly in the middle of them just losing Kawaki altogether, it makes sense that this right here is not going to be the Ao arc. I'm pretty sure you guys noticed already, I'm going to be speaking very loosely about the manga content, so if you guys don't want to be spoiled about that, I'll probably make another video where I try to keep the spoilers to a minimum. But the manga spoilers as it pertains to this arc is not going to be extremely heavy, mainly because this arc was not in the manga. This is going to be an anime original arc, and because of that, us manga readers are not going to be completely bored, mainly because we already seen a lot of this content in the manga before. Something completely different that Boruto does from other anime series like My Hero Academia or other anime series like that. And I really love that about Boruto. But regardless, I feel like this arc is going to be about how the Kata organization came together, something that we did not see. Or by the wording, actuation could also mean the activation of the Kata organization in this particular situation. So this might be the first moves of the Kata organization that we see or is actually made public by the Kata organization. You can kind of connect this to the Akatsuki movie. Now, I'm not completely sure about that Akatsuki movie, mainly because I wasn't necessarily a huge Naruto fan when it actually came out, so I don't necessarily know all the backstory. But there was an Akatsuki movie, if I'm not mistaken, that pretty much showed how the Akatsuki came together. It was not in the anime, and of course a lot of people wanted to be in the anime, and in this particular situation, it looks like the formation of this group is actually going to be in the anime. And because it is going to be in the anime, I suppose it is going to be a lot more detailed than the quote-unquote Akatsuki actuation movie, even though it wasn't called that. But regardless, there is going to be some interesting stuff in this arc. For example, how an Otsutsuki member got a lot of people to commit to a pretty much suicide mission. Like, did he lie to them? Did he tell them exactly what's going on? Does everybody know the truth? Now, I'm going to be comparing the Akatsuki to the Kata organization, not necessarily because they're like one-in-one comparisons, but of course the Kata organization is the big group of Boruto, and of course the big group of Naruto and Naruto Shippuden was the Akatsuki. Now, in the Akatsuki, there was a lot of confusion and not everybody understood the overall goal. Pain had one idea, Obito had one idea, and of course Black Zetsu and Kaguya, they had their own ideas. So everybody in the Akatsuki wasn't necessarily on the same page about what their group was actually built to do, and that might actually be the same thing for this Kata organization. Now, specifically, I do want to point out there are going to be a lot of synthetic human beings in this Kata organization that are going to be extremely strong. In terms of their actual will to be in the Kata organization, it wouldn't necessarily have to be that heavy, mainly because if Amato, the scientist of the Kata organization, created a person or created a cyborg that's extremely strong to be in the Kata organization, that's their will. Like, that's just their will, and you can't really question that. But of course, the regular people, if there is any regular people of the Kata organization, may it be other aliens, since we're throwing that word around now, we have to understand what their purpose is. And also the outsiders of the Kata organization. The outsiders of the Kata organization, from my perspective, are probably going to be former shinobi that pretty much went into the Kata organization on their own free will. I want to know, were they lied to? What purpose do they have in the Kata organization? And see who exactly is backstabbing their own ninja nations. Now, real quick, I do want to touch on this mainly because I'm not trying to sell you guys a dream or anything like this. This is not going to be 100% solely on the Kata organization, even though it does say that, hey, it is the Kata actuation arc. There is still going to be some side story that Boruto and the rest are definitely going to have to go on earlier this week, or possibly even last week. Organic Dinosaur actually released an excerpt or a synopsis about this arc, and it basically detailed what this arc is going to be starting off as. I'm going to talk a lot more about this in the video that I do talk about, or that I do make about the Kata actuation arc, where I don't include any manga spoilers about this. So of course you guys should be on the lookout about that. So I just wanted to put this out there so you guys understand it's not necessarily going to be 1000% a bunch of flashbacks, Otsutsuki people popping out of windows and stuff like that. It's still going to have some regular Boruto aspects to it. And of course you guys should absolutely expect Boruto and Team 7 to be on a mission while everything else is happening in the background. So it's going to be 2 separate stories in this one kata actuation arc. One of the big things about this arc is going to of course be Isshiki Otsutsuki. Isshiki Otsutsuki, in my opinion, is probably going to be the person that actually tries to put together this kata organization, mainly because of course he has that one goal of sucking the earth, drive all this chakra, but he, unlike the other Otsutsuki members out there that we have seen in the past, actually has a structured plan and of course a group to carry out that plan and to complete what he has in store. That right there pretty much sets him apart from all the other Otsutsuki members. I touched on that before in the past, but why did he choose Earth, and possibly some more information about the Otsutsuki clan in general, mainly because we can possibly see where Isshiki Otsutsuki came from. Is there just one planet where all these Otsutsuki members came from? Are we going to get to see Isshiki Otsutsuki on his home planet or something like that, just conversing with other Otsutsuki members, and he overheard some other Otsutsuki members talking about how Earth in this dimension has over 16 space curvatures, something that we heard Tonetti talking about earlier, but just the roots of the idea of actually attacking this specific dimension. And of course, a lot of people are going to be extremely excited to see the origins of Jigen. I spoke about this in my last episode, how Jigen and Isshiki Otsutsuki they are not necessarily the same character. Jigen of course got the karma seal from Isshiki Otsutsuki, and therefore Jigen turned into a whole Otsutsuki member. A lot of people kind of think, and a lot of people are kind of getting the idea that Jigen himself, not Isshiki Otsutsuki, but Jigen himself can possibly be a good guy, just like how in the future how Kawaki can possibly be a good guy, but he is overtaken by Isshiki Otsutsuki, which actually forces him to be a bad guy. And that right there would definitely be a very sad story for a character like Jigen, but of course it would shed a lot of light onto the other characters that also have the karma seal, Boruto and Kawaki to be specific. So 1000%, a lot of people's eyes are going to be absolutely glued to Jigen, his origins, and how he was at first versus how he is now when he's completely taken over by Isshiki Otsutsuki. Now, another thing that I'm pretty sure a lot of you guys probably forgot, but Isshiki Otsutsuki a couple chapters ago was actually linked to Kaguya Otsutsuki, the first Otsutsuki member that we have ever seen in the Boruto anime, or the first pure Otsutsuki member that we've pretty much ever seen, period. But Kaguya has a very special place in a lot of our hearts. Some of you guys absolutely hate her character, but regardless, we understand that she's completely different. And of course, Isshiki Otsutsuki being linked to Kaguya is something very entertaining. Maybe we see Isshiki Otsutsuki and Kaguya Otsutsuki conversing in this kata actuation arc. It could possibly be like a super flashback, I don't know, like 1,000,000 years ago, something crazy like that. The origins of the kata organization might be extremely, and I mean extremely deep, and you guys are definitely gonna love it, mainly because it's some hardcore Otsutsuki member information and backstory. Now, I want to point this out, just my theory and what I think is probably going to happen in this kata actuation arc. I think it's probably going to be a little bit toned down, mainly because I don't expect them to give us all of it right here in this actual arc. Of course, them being the kata organization, they're pretty much built off of them being extremely mystique, and if we have all the answers in the first arc, it takes away a lot of the mystique of the kata organization. So even though I believe that they are going to give us a lot of information about the origins of the kata organization, of course I don't expect them to give us everything. So if they don't include all the Otsutsuki stuff, I will be completely fine with that, mainly because we didn't really know everything about the Akatsuki until the very end of the Naruto Shippuden series, and I had no problem with that. So I'm pretty sure I'm not going to have a problem with the kata organization and them not sharing us everything right at first if they do go about it the right way. I just can't help but think how super unfortunate it is for the one arc that finally we get some kata organization content in, it gets completely cut off because of a national pandemic. That right there is just absolutely insane, and of course that's just Boruto luck for us. So of course I hope that the Boruto anime does actually start back up, minimum, because this arc is supposed to be absolute fire. But one thing I do want to talk about, I know some people are going to ask me about this, is the voice actor for Jigen. I'll talk about this a lot more in depth when I do talk about the kata actuation arc without the spoilers. I'll dive deeper into what the director specifically said, but the director actually revealed who Jigen's voice actor was. I really don't care. Some of you guys hate me for this. I really prefer dubbed over sub. The subbed voices really does not matter to me, and if they pick a bad dubbed voice actor, I would have a much bigger problem with that. I'd probably make a whole video about that, but in terms of the subbed voice actors, I could really care less, honestly. But of course, anybody understands that the voice of a villain is definitely a very important thing. It pretty much builds the character of the villain, the personality. Hopefully the voice actor surprises a lot of you guys and actually does a very good job, even though, you know, we still have yet to hear what Jigen's voice is going to sound like, even though we heard that voice actor voice other characters before. Let's just hope this one is going to be good. But regardless, in my opinion, I think dubbed voice actors for me is going to be a lot more important than the sub voice actors. But let me know what you guys think about this arc in the comment section below. Give me your opinions about what you guys expect to see and some of the things that you guys expect not to see. Do you guys think that this could possibly be the Ao arc in disguise? Mainly because I do understand the premise of that theory, but also if this arc is actually going to be about the origins of the Kado organization, what is one thing that you are absolutely hoping to see, even though you guys think that it probably won't come through to fruition? In my opinion, one of the things that I really hope to see that probably won't actually come through to fruition is, of course, Kage and Isshiki Otsutsuki talking together and basically talking about a plan about what they're possibly going to do in the future. I think that's probably not going to happen, but that would be an absolutely boss scene if it actually does happen. Just two completely broken characters conversing about this small teeny tiny planet in Earth you can possibly just conquer in the future. Let me know what you guys think. It's been your boy Barbie, and we out.
It's a knife.